This is BodyTrust, the leading edge of the wellness revolution. I'm your host, Dr. Doug, author of Chinese Medicine for the Modern World. Welcome to my classroom. I'm Dr. Doug. This is BodyTrust 5. The subject for today is what is popularly called emotional eating. That is, suppressing uncomfortable emotions with food. Of course, they can be suppressed with all kinds of things, but when we suppress emotions, it's generally going to be unhealthy. Food is a very popular sedative for emotions that we just don't want to recognize and honor. However, as we'll learn, we must honor all emotions because they are nothing but information coming from the inside of our bodies, telling our Shen, our minds, what to do. And you know, when emotions get stuck, when they're not honored, this causes all kinds of problems, all kinds of physical problems, not just mental. Some of them minor, some of them deadly. So it's very important that we honor all of our emotions. Mad, glad, sad, scared, and bored, and all their avatars, all their 100 variations. They're all there for our survival. All animals honor their emotions all the time because that's all they have to go by. Well, not all, but they must honor their emotions in order to survive in the wilderness. Anger, for example. Anger is there to tell us to stand up, defend ourselves. Right? When a cave bear is entering your cave, you have a right to be angry. You need to be angry to defend yourself and your fellows. But when somebody crosses in front of you, when you're driving and you're angry, okay, they dissed you. But when you carry that anger for a long time, this causes qi stagnation. You will know what qi is if you watched or listened to the American Dragon series, the 4th presentation on 5 substances. Qi is that substance that animates everything in the universe. And when emotions get stuck like that, when they're carried way beyond the moment when they're necessary, we get qi stagnation, and all kinds of problems result from that. Sadness, if people don't honor sadness, then it wells up in the chest and can become a chronic, even life-threatening problem, usually for lungs or heart. Fear. Fear is there to tell us to seek safety, create safety. If you don't do it, well, you could be in trouble. Now, if you step out in front of a bus, you should be afraid. That's there to help you. That's there to help you survive. But if you go around all day carrying that fear with you and you're afraid of everything, well, then that's qi stagnation. So, emotions must flow. They must be there at the moment to tell you what's going on inside. And then there's boredom. We use food to control boredom. I know I used to. Well, boredom is there to say, find something to do. Find someone interesting to talk to. Find a project, something you're interested in. Or sit on the couch and take 20 deep breaths and relax. It's not a signal to eat, I'll tell you. Or smoke cannabis or drink alcohol or anything else, any other addicting behaviors. It's there to tell you to get interested in something, right? Now, this information, this emotional information goes to what we call the Shen. Again, one of the 5 substances. I recommend that you check that presentation out. The Shen is that substance that determines behavior. There's no exact equivalent in the English language for these substances, by the way. Now, in order to determine appropriate behavior, that is a behavior that is appropriate to the moment, to the situation, to everything that is in your situation, the Shen must collect information. It collects information from 4 sources. 2 of those sources are intellectual, and 2 of them are feelings. So 2 of them are yang, and 2 of them are yin. The intellectual sources are rational thinking and memory. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Oh, okay. Not 5, that's 4. Great, that's great information. That can help. Memory. Well, the last time I jumped off this cliff, I really hurt myself, so I'm not going to do that again. That's memory. The yin sources are the 5 senses and, guess what? Emotions. The 5 senses: seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and smelling. This is usually information coming from outside the body, but not always. Very necessary. Those are feelings, and other feelings are emotions. What's going on inside the body. All of that is put together by the Shen, and a healthy Shen honors all of it. But first, the feelings. A healthy Shen honors the feelings first, and then modifies them with the intellectual information. An unhealthy Shen blocks part of that information, doesn't get all the information, lacks information, and makes inappropriate decisions, leading to inappropriate and unhealthy actions. So we need all the emotions. We cannot avoid them, and we are not responsible for our emotions. In other words, if you feel anger, you have a right to feel anger. You have a right to feel fear. You have a right to feel sadness, or whatever you're feeling, or joy, or whatever. You have a right to feel that, because all that is information. You do not control your emotions. You cannot control your emotions. You can influence your emotions by your thinking, because emotions will follow thought. Now, here's an interesting fact. The only thing you have total, absolute, 100% control over in your life is your thinking. You don't even control your body 100%. You certainly don't control other people. But you do control what you choose to think of. So if you choose to think of fearful things all the time, you'll be fearful. If you choose to think about angry events where you should have taken action but you didn't, well, then you'll be angry. So you're not responsible for your emotions, but you are responsible for your thoughts. Thoughts, after all, are actions. So you are responsible for your actions, not your feelings. Now, when you're eating, let's say you're eating because you're unhappy, you will only discover that emotion that is giving your Shen information when you pay attention to it. You can only pay attention to your feelings if you eat without distractions. If you're distracted, you're not going to feel it. You're going to suppress it right away with food. Because remember, food hits that dopamine center in the brain. Whee! Don't forget all about it. Just like cocaine, cannabis, alcohol, etc., etc. There's all kinds of things we use to avoid feeling. Don't avoid your feelings. They're there for your survival. And certainly don't use food. You know, food is so honored in our culture that you can always eat and get fat, really fat, and still go to work. Whereas if you're drunk, you're stoned, whatever, you can't. So that's why so many people, that's one reason so many people are carrying excess body weight, body fat. Also keep in mind that body fat dulls emotions. We've gone through that before. We've studied that before. It dulls emotions. So
people who are carrying a lot of excess weight don't feel glad, sad, scared, and bored quite as strongly as lean people. This is another thing to watch out for if you really want to get lean and clean. Lean on the outside, clean on the inside. You're going to have to understand what emotions are, and you're going to have to honor all of your emotions and act on them instead of avoiding them. Well, this is a slow process. There's no quick fixes to getting lean and clean. So keep that in mind. Well, I think that's all for now. I think we've covered it pretty well. I just want to leave you with this thought. All of your emotions are important. You are not responsible for your emotions. They must all be honored before you start using your intellect. Okay. Stay tuned for Wellness in the News. Welcome to Wellness in the News. BodyTrust 5. I'm your reporter, Dr. Doug. Let's start off with a little headline here from Science Daily. Exercise beats cocaine addiction. The University of Buffalo Research Institute on Addictions and Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology found that aerobic exercise in particular relieves anxiety associated with cocaine addiction in lab animals. Where did they ever find lab animals that were addicted to cocaine? I don't know. But anyway, apparently, exercise has been shown on previous occasions to reduce stress hormones like cortisol and to elevate mood, dopamine, which alleviates anxiety and depression associated with withdrawal. I know from my own personal experience that any kind of exercise, whether it's aerobic or yoga or weightlifting or dancing, stimulates my dopamine center. It gives me a high. And of course, a high is what addicts are after. That includes cocaine and food and anything. So I always maintain that you cannot be healthy and you cannot be mentally healthy unless you are exercising pretty much every day. In future episodes, we're going to get deep into exercising because it's not to lose weight, it's to be healthy. And a healthy body-mind is what we're after. Here's another one. This is from Science Daily again. Poverty breeds dementia. I didn't know this. A study published recently in the Journal of American Medical Association Psychiatry is the first of its kind to determine which socioeconomic factors influence dementia, and found limited wealth in late life is associated with increased risk of dementia independent of education. Well, I imagine if you're struggling and struggling and struggling all your life, that can build up a lot of chi stagnation. And that chi stagnation will develop phlegm. And that phlegm finds its way into the brain and starts an inflammatory process which burns brain cells and shrinks them. And then people start losing their memory. It's very common. So I'm not terribly surprised. Here's another Science Daily headline: leg exercise critical for neural health. New research shows that using the legs, particularly in weight-bearing exercise, sends signals to the brain that are vital for the production of healthy neurocells. The groundbreaking study fundamentally alters brain and nervous system medicine, giving doctors new clues as to why patients with motor neuron disease, like multiple sclerosis, spinal muscular atrophy, and other neurological diseases, often rapidly decline when their movement becomes limited. So don't skip that leg workout. And you want to lift heavy. I love doing squats. Well, love. It's a hard love. Any kind of leg exercise. Of course, dancing is leg exercise. I think you got to do more than just walking, but walking is a start. After all, the leg muscles are the largest and strongest muscles in both men and women. They're the biggest and strongest. And when you lift weight with those muscles, you're stimulating the entire body. So let's do those squats. And here is my last article. This is really interesting to me. This is from University of Southern California news item. Fasting triggers stem cell regeneration of damaged old immune system. In the first evidence of a natural intervention triggering stem cell-based regeneration of an organ or system, a study in the June 5th issue of the Cell Stem Cell shows that cycles of prolonged fasting not only protect against immune system damage, a major side effect of chemotherapy, but also induce immune system regeneration, shifting stem cells from a dormant state to a state of self-renewal. Well, we're going to have a whole episode, I think next time, on fasting. What is it? And what's the difference between fasting and starving? Frankly, fasting simply means not eating. So we all fast. It's just a question of how long do you want to fast. Extended fasting does clear the immune system, which largely resides in your gut, of garbage. Your body goes after all that garbage, cleans it up, eats it, spits out what it can't use, renewing and regenerating your immune system. So this is one reason why I eat one meal a day, which I'm not saying everyone else should do. And that's what I do. Because I like a strong immune system. I like a healthy, internally clean body that is not burdened with impacted fecal matter sludge and all the poisons that come from that. And I do not recommend, by the way, what they recommend is 2-day fast, 3-day fast, 4-day fast. I've done that before. I'll tell you what happens afterwards. Binging, right? You're good for a while, and then you're bad. So why go through all of that? You know, it's just torture, and it doesn't do any good. It usually sets people back. But going long periods of time, many, many hours without eating during the day, during the night, that's a good thing. It also builds up my hunger. And as we know, hunger is the best sauce. So I want that evening meal to be really delicious. So I build up my hunger so that it will be. Anyway, that's all the news that's fit to shout at you. I'm your news reporter, Dr. Doug. Stay tuned for the interview. Welcome to the interview segment of my show. I'm Dr. Doug. My special guest today is Dr. Bianca Brasil. She's from Sao Paulo, Brazil. She's a good friend of mine, licensed acupuncturist, and I think you'll really enjoy this interview. I want to remind you that if you like this show, be sure to subscribe. You can also go to my website at drkine.com and sign up for my monthly newsletter. It comes out on the first of the month. Also, all previous episodes of BodyTrust can be accessed on my website on the video page. So now here is my interview with Dr. Bianca. Hi, Bianca. How are you?
Hello, Doug.
Good to hear you again.
It's good to hear you too.
How's Sao Paulo doing?
It's cold.
It's cold.
Rainy.
That's right. You're below the equator, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's winter now.
It's winter. Well, Bianca, I think my listeners would love to hear the story about how we connected. How did we connect? But that was, how many years ago was that anyway?
Oh, that was 2015.
2015. Oh my.
So wow, it's been 3 years.
So how did you find me?
Well, I was a teacher of Chinese herbs, and it was amazing because even though I was an acupuncturist and a practitioner of Chinese herbs, I had some health issues I just couldn't figure out. So I started talking to friends and other practitioners. So one of them told me,
how many pounds overweight were you when I first met you?
I was 35, 36 pounds overweight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I had a lot of health issues too.
Yes.
And so it was very hard for me to lose weight. I couldn't lose weight, actually. I tried every diet you can think of, every acupuncture protocol you can think of, and Chinese herbal formulas you can think of. And I couldn't get rid of that weight nor the diseases I had back then. So people were talking about the dragons, the American dragons. And so I Googled the dragons.
And then I
found videos of you and Joel. And I was amazed by the way the two of you talked about yin and yang and the 5 substances and the 8 principles. And I became this huge fan of you.
Yeah.
And so I decided to contact you because, you see, this is something really interesting. People in general think that when a person talks in a very difficult way with a lot of, difficult words, we think, wow, that person is so super intelligent. And he must be like the best practitioner ever. And this is so wrong because, people that know a lot, people that understand a lot about what they do, they can make it simple. Simple in a way a child would get the meaning. And any child will understand yin and yang after watching the Dragons video on yin and yang. So because of the simplicity of your explanation, I felt I felt like I should contact you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was afraid at first because I was like, well, he must be this super duper practitioner and he won't have time for me. But then I found a friend, a teacher, and you presented me with hat, but that was not in the beginning, of course.
That's hunger awareness training.
Yes,
Hunger
and
awareness
that
training.
was it was very interesting because you asked me if I like to dance. I mean, what doctor asks that, you know? And your questions were very, who is Bianca? And when I told you I like to dance and I did belly dancing, and then I shared with you, I said, you know what, I'm overweight and this really bothers me because doing belly dancing with that huge belly is not very nice to look at. and you were so sweet when you asked me, do you want to lose weight? You were not like that doctor that says, "Oh, you must lose weight. You don't look good. You look unhealthy." No, you were very nice when you asked me, "Do you want to lose weight? Because I can help you." And I felt in my heart right away, I just found what I need to love myself again, because it's very difficult to love oneself when you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see. So, and that's how it started.
Yeah, I remember those days very clearly. You were really easy to work with because you just absorbed everything, and we worked for about 10 weeks together on
10
Skype,
weeks.
from LA to Sao Paulo.
Yes.
And you lost a bunch of weight, and a lot of your health problems cleared up, didn't they?
Yes. And it was like right away. Right away. Problems that had been bothering me for what, 16 years?
Huh. What kind of problems?
Just psoriasis, for example, that I had that problem for 3 years back then, and I had this infection in my toenails.
Oh, I remember that.
Since 1999. I was going to college in the United States back then when I started having
you lived in
that
Utah.
toenail infection.
You lived in Utah, didn't you?
I lived in Salt Lake City, yes. I did biopsies. I went through every kind of treatment you can think of, and that nail infection was there growing. And I mean, in 3 months of hunger awareness training, it was gone for good.
Yeah.
And things that I didn't expect, because when I started, really, Doug, I thought I was going to lose weight, and that was it. And by the end of those 10 weeks, I was like, oh my God, like the smallest benefit of all this was losing weight. That was the tiny benefit, because the other benefits were enormous.
Yeah, gaining your health or regaining your health, improving your health, right? And
one more thing, Doug, I would like to share with people is that I was not content with a lot of things in my life back then. And losing weight gave me strength, gave me the power, gave me the willpower, and the belief that I could change huge things in my life. And I did change them.
I remember it made you stand up for yourself.
Exactly.
Wow, I remember that. Yeah, that was pretty dramatic.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was, wasn't it? And now your life is so much better in spite of the terrible economic situation in Brazil right now. But well, that's very nice. And then, of course, you used this knowledge to help other people in your practice.
Of course I did.
Yes.
Because my patients were like, what are you doing?
Right. How did you lose all that weight?
Because I lost 36 pounds.
Wow.
In 10 weeks.
Yeah, wow. That's kind of fast. But that's kind of noticeable too. People were really stunned, weren't they?
Especially women. You know,
Yeah,
women,
I know women. I know.
they see everything.
They see everything. And they
Yes.
talk about everything that they see,
Yes, and
right?
they're like, "Oh my God, she looks better than me. I need to do something. What is she doing?"
So you started your own program called GDP,
Yes, that's what
defi
I did.
Definitive Weight Management, translated into English.
Exactly.
And you help people get in
Yes.
touch with their own bodies and their own instincts. You helped a lot of people, and you're still helping people.
Yes, I still do.
Hmm.
And this is something that I believe in, that, there's a point in life, or sometimes there are many points in your life when life presents you with something you need or something you've been looking for. And you brought me something I was looking for, because we think a lot alike. When I say we think a lot alike, it's not because we are Oriental medicine practitioners, but it's because we want to help people. It's because we have suffered and we have seen our parents and people we love suffer because they don't know how to manage their bodies and their health. And a lot of them could have lived longer if only there was somebody in their lives that cared enough to tell them, hey, this is not the way. What you're doing is going to lead you to a premature death.
Yes.
And
Sadly, it's true.
so what we do, Doug, is goes much way beyond helping people lose weight.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
so it's
That's why I call it wellness coaching.
exactly,
And
exactly.
people
And when you say wellness, and when I say wellness, it's a wellness of your body and of your soul and of your spirit and of your mind and of your emotions. It goes so deep into a person's heart.
That's right.
That, people that go into this, they'll never be the same.
That's
Or
right.
actually, I could dare saying that it will be the first time they will realize who they really are, and what they really should be doing. Because what I can share with people is that, all the people that have done the workshop with me, they lost weight, they became healthier, but they found out what they should change in their lives, job wise, relationship wise. And it's amazing. It's amazing. The stories you hear are amazing.
You've done a lot of workshops in Sao Paulo and around Brazil, haven't you?
Yes,
On
a
this
lot.
on GDP. In fact, you're kind of
Yeah.
famous,
Or
Bianca.
infamous.
Bianca, you need your own TV show. Bianca, you need your own TV show. We're gonna work on that, okay?
Yes, we will. But you see, right now, I'm a mother again,
I know,
and I'm
so
so in love with my
and
baby
that's what
that
counts.
work is gonna wait a
That's what
little bit, and
counts.
it's
That's what
just so much fun because you see, I'm a mother of three. My other two daughters, I felt this urge of, I have to work, I have to help my patients, and I cannot think about myself as a mother and my baby only. Other people need me. And after doing this and losing weight and getting in touch with myself, right now my baby is my priority. And I
Yes.
can stand up for myself and for my baby.
Yes, and he should be your priority. And he's the cutest baby I've ever seen.
Oh, he is so
Isn't
cute.
he
Oh my
cute?
God.
Well, Bianca, I really want to thank you for taking your time to talk with us and share your knowledge with us. And I'm sure that listeners are very inspired by your example. And we want to have you back again some other time.
Anytime.
Well,
We're
that's
friends.
wonderful. That's wonderful. So, once again, thank you, Dr. Bianca Brasil of Sao Paulo, for being with us. And until next time,
Thank you so much, Doug.
happy,
It's my pleasure.
happy. Okay, bye-bye, Bianca.
Bye. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to my show. And while you're at it, click on that little bell so that you'll receive notification every time I post a new episode.